What's up, nerds, and welcome to the Nerd History Podcast, the newest addition to the Love Thy Nerd Podcast Network. The Nerd History Podcast exists to do what all the nerds love to do the most: talk incessantly about their favorite moments in nerd culture. Each episode, we will spotlight one particular nerd history event from that week and take a deep dive into the fandom, the lore, and the nerdy facts. I'm Radio Matt, the Director of Content and Resources for Love Thy Nerd and Station Manager for LTN Radio. And with me today and forevermore is my amazing bride, Deidra.
Hi, I'm Deidra. That's all.
That's her. Just Deidra.
Just me.
Hashtag Just Deidra. Today on the show, we're going to be talking about iTunes, a program that launched 23 years ago this week.
Wow.
But first, today is January 8th, so let's start by taking a look at what is celebrating an anniversary today.
Right.
Today, we're talking about Money in the Bank.
Money in the Bank. In 2006, WWE held the New Year's Resolution Pay-Per-View Revolution. New Year's Revolution Pay-Per-View, which featured a six-man Elimination Chamber match won by John Cena. Oh my gosh. Upon winning the match, Edge became the first man to cash in the Money in the Bank briefcase, which guarantees the holder a championship match anytime they choose to cash it in. Okay. Edge took advantage of John Cena, having been in a brutal match just moments before, to take his shot, and he won the new WWE Championship. What am I doing
No,
wrong?
you did great. That was great. You started. I was proud. It was a moment of pride because you started storytelling there. Yeah. Like, Edge took advantage of John Cena, having been in a brutal match just moments before, to take his shot.
And then you got to go and upstage me.
Great.
Thanks a lot. You said it so much better than I did.
Really good though. You'll get there. So to win the Money in the Bank ladder match, which is the match that you have to get the briefcase.
Oh, okay.
And so like in a previous pay-per-view, you win that. And so there's a whole match. There's usually, I think, at least 6 to 8 guys that participate in this.
Trying to get it.
And it is hanging above the ring. And so you got to get this giant ladder in the middle and get up there and get it.
I recall this.
So this requires...
And you're like getting up on the ladder and then someone smacks it down on you or something, right? Yeah.
And it's always like... the timing for this match is one of the dumbest ones because... you have to have somebody like leap from the outside to knock them off the ladder. And so suddenly when that person gets to climb the ladder, they have no more strength ever. Every rung is like 30 seconds. And so you know he's not going to get up there. It's like, seriously?
Terrible.
You are jumping with bursts of energy to knock people off and do all this, but you can't muster that to win the match. So ladder matches are the most non-believable matches to me, but still, it's fun. Anyway, to win the Money in the Bank, you have to climb the ladder, retrieve the briefcase. The briefcase contains a contract for the World Championship, which can be cashed in at any time within a year of winning it. Okay. Edge was the first one to do this, first one to win and to cash it in, and to also win the championship when cashing it in, like successfully cashed it in.
Wow. Okay.
But it's a gimmick that's played all year long, and it's usually pretty fun. There have been occasions where like they've won it and then immediately done it that same pay-per-view.
Oh.
And that's cool too, but it's cool to have a storyline throughout there's always times where the guy comes in and they're walking to either like threaten them or like they're really going to do it and then someone knocks them out before they can cash it in or whatever. You like never know when it's going to happen. But I think the most famous version of this was at a WrestleMania. It was the main event pay-per-view. It was Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar, which is a match that we had seen about a dozen times at that point, and nobody wanted it to be the main event. Nobody wanted either of them to win. And Seth Rollins came in after they had already been fighting and beat each other up, and neither of them were standing in the ring at that point. He came cashed it in, and made it a triple threat match. Won the match in like 5 minutes. And ended the person who won the main event of WrestleMania was someone not in the match originally. It's called the Heist of the Century. It was beautiful. Initially, the Money in the Bank ladder match was part of WrestleMania. So I think, so Edge had won it a long time before. So that had been most of the year before this pay-per-view that he cashed it in on. But it featured both Raw and SmackDown superstars. In 2010, it became its own pay-per-view. So now there's a whole Money in the Bank pay-per-view, and it's one of the more popular ones that aren't like the main four. Mm-hmm. And this allowed a separate ladder match for both Raw and SmackDown superstars because they were drafted to one show during that time. Nowadays, it's back to just one men's, but they added a women's Money in the Bank match in 2017. The first winner of that was Carmella. Okay. Kinda.
Okay.
Because she had a manager, a guy manager, who actually got the briefcase down and handed it to her. So technically, the first winner of a women's Money in the Bank match was a man. And that was
how true to today.
Frustrating for everybody. Not just women. Everybody hated that decision. Every single buddy. But since then, they've had several, and they've been great. And that's all we've got for you today. Just this one. That's why I talked about it a lot. Every day at lovethynerd.com/nerdhistory, we post an article and accompanying video spotlighting that day in nerd history with pictures, descriptions, nerdy facts, and some commentary. So make sure you start your day with lovethynerd.com every day. Just every day. Now it is time for a game.
All right. Oh, my turn. Each week we go head-to-head in a game to put our nerdy nostalgia knowledge to the test. I can't say it all together. Nerdy nostalgia knowledge.
Nerdy nostalgia
to the test. We will ask each other 5 questions, all multiple choice. If we get the answer wrong, we have to guess again, with each wrong answer earning us an X. Fewest X's at the end of the round wins.
So today we're going to take a stab at some music trivia.
Oh, of course.
No specific category beyond music.
Beat me down enough with the...
These questions can be from anywhere in the music world. It can be, artists. It can be instruments. It can be like Beethoven, Bach era stuff. It could be anything music related. It could be jingles for products. Who knows? I don't, because I haven't looked at the questions.
You sound like you know.
So I got to go first last week. Ooh. So I'm going to let you go first this week.
Okay.
Cool with that?
Yes.
All right, here we go. Question the first. Who was awarded the very first gold record?
Oh, easy.
Elvis Presley, Nat King Cole, The Beatles, or Perry Como?
Don't know 2 of those people.
Oh, that saddens me greatly.
Guess which ones I do know. So we'll just say Elvis.
You think it's Elvis?
Even though I don't think that's it.
It is not Elvis.
The Beatles?
Oh, I thought it was one of them.
Really?
Yeah. All right. Who do you think it is?
Perry Como?
Yay! Although there were earlier publicity stunts involving records sprayed with gold lacquer, the actual award recognized today as a gold record was first awarded to Perry Como in 1958 for his recording of Catch a Falling Star.
I don't even know that song.
All right. What pop singer?
Put it in your pocket.
Maybe.
Okay. Sorry.
Number 2. What pop singer is known as the Material Girl? Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, Madonna, or Taylor Swift? I know this one.
Is it Madonna?
Is it? Is that your guess?
Yeah. No.
It is!
Oh, okay.
Madonna became known as the Material Girl after her hit single of the same name hit the charts in 1984. She hates it, claiming she would never have done the song if she knew the name would stick. All right. Number 3. What Depeche Mode song was inspired by Priscilla Presley's book, Elvis and Me? Strange Love, World in My Eyes, Personal Jesus, or Sweetest Perfection?
No clue. We'll go with World in My Eyes. Dang it. Strange Love?
Nope.
Personal Jesus?
Yay!
Okay.
Personal Jesus
Crap, sorry.
was inspired by Priscilla Presley's book Elvis and Me, which she describes her relationship with Elvis Presley.
Okay.
Interesting. All right, so that's 4, right? Yeah, 4 X's. 2 more questions.
I'm doing better than
Doing
last
much better than last week.
Still gonna lose, but doing better.
How much pressure do the strings in a grand piano exert on the frame? 3 tons? 30 tons, 30 pounds, 300 pounds.
I'm gonna go with 30 pounds.
Nope.
Wow. How much is a ton? 1,000 pounds. So 3,000 pounds, really. Let's go with 300 pounds. What the heck? 3 tons?
Wow.
What?
So it's 30 tons. Each string has a tension of 160 to 200 pounds, resulting in a combined force of up to 30 tons in a concert grand. So it's asking for all the strings, I guess. Okay. I was thinking individual strings, but it's all the pressure that's putting on the frame. That's every string, all the pressure times, on the frame is 30. Yeah. Okay, I get it.
Wow. Okay.
All right. Well, you're up to 7. All right.
Oh, crap.
Here's your last one. What is the oldest surviving musical instrument? A trumpet, a flute, a drum, or a lyre?
I think it's lyre.
I'm pretty sure it's lyre.
All right. I've always read it lyre, but that's not saying much.
Like King Lear?
I don't know. How's he spell his name?
With 2 E's.
I mean, a drum, that's kind of like...
I feel like that's a gimme,
I feel like that's simple. But I'm going to say flute.
You played flute?
Yes!
It is a flute. An ancient bone flute, estimated to be about 43,000 to 82,000 years old, was found by Dr. Ivan Turk, a paleontologist at the Slovenian Academy of Science at the Neanderthal campsite in Ljubljana, Slovenia, in 1998. The oldest known musical instrument. It is made of an old cave bear femur segment with 4 holes, 2 complete and 2 partial. How would you say that? Ljubljana. Ljubljana.
Of an old cave bear femur segment?
Femur. Cave bear femur segment.
Thought you. So they found a flute made of bones.
Made of a cave
bear. So they found bones
bone with
4 holes in it and said they made a flute.
Well, I'm sure it's a flute. If it makes noise, it's a flute. If you can blow into it, it's got to be a flute.
All right.
All right. So that's 7 for you. Not terrible. I could do much worse. All right.
You ready?
I'm ready.
What singer holds the world record for most words in a hit single? 50 Cent, Kanye West, Eminem, Busta Rhymes, Eminem.
Busta Rhymes is that.
Anemone.
You remember that joke from that guy, Mike Birbiglia? He's all, there's a guy named Busta Rhymes who every time he does a song, he ends it by going, Busta Rhymes. I wish I could do that every time I tell a joke. Mike Birbiglia. Shoot. I'd have to.
Who is it?
I feel like it's gonna be Eminem because I feel like there's a song where the entire song is just him going.
And he did it on purpose.
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, you're right.
It was Rap God. That's what I was thinking. The Detroit rapper achieved a world record with Rap God. The 6-minute track contains 1,560 words, which means that Eminem is rapping a tongue-twisting 4.28 words per second.
Wow. It's impressive.
All right.
Which jazz musician was known for playing a bent trumpet? Chet Baker, Miles Davis, Louis Armstrong, sorry, and Dizzy
Gillespie.
Gillespie.
Say it right, Deidra. Dizzy Gillespie.
Gill's pie is how I would say it.
Gilly's pie. Oh, shoot. I don't know.
I've recognized 3 of those names. I don't know Chet Baker.
Yeah, I don't either. I'm going to say Miles Davis.
Oh,
Dizzy
Totally wrong.
Dizzy Gillespie. Yeah. On January 6, 1953, Gillespie threw a party for his wife Lorraine at Snooki's, a club in Manhattan, where his trumpet's bell got bent upward in an accident. He liked the sound so much he had a special trumpet made with a 45-degree raised bell, which became his trademark. That's interesting.
Weird.
All right, 2 down, only
Did it
1
sound
X.
different from regular trumpets?
It must
Then
have,
at that point,
slightly.
is it still a trumpet?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah.
Next.
Which rapper is famous for wearing parachute pants? Snoop Dogg?
I know this one.
Lauryn Hill? Mm-hmm. Ice Cube? MC Hammer?
MC Hammer, after breaking into the hip-hop scene in 1990 with the chart-topping tune, You Can't Touch This, MC Hammer became synonymous with the flashy pants, billowy trousers that droop in the crotch and taper to the lower leg. But don't call them parachute pants in his presence. I detest the term. He told Racked in 2016, they're called hammer pants.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, number 9.
Jeez. What did Freddie Mercury
There you go.
attribute his enhanced vocal range to? Okay. Larger lungs, lots of practice, genetics, extra teeth. So,
I feel like extra teeth is the only thing I know about him.
really? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, you look at pictures of him, it's like his whole mouth is like sticking out like that. Like, people on the audio podcast can't tell, but you know, you can picture it. You know what I'm doing. So I'm going to say extra teeth. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Mercury was born with 4 extra teeth and attributed his enhanced vocal range to this. He refused to have his teeth fixed, fearing it would affect his vocal abilities.
I'm sorry, but that don't make no sense. What was the first rock and roll song to hit number 1 on the charts? That's All Right, Tutti Frutti, Heartbreak Hotel, and Rock Around the Clock.
I love Rock Around the Clock. Heartbreak Hotel.
Rock around.
Oh,
He's wrong.
Tutti Frutti.
He's wrong again.
Rock Around the Clock. Okay.
It was the one you loved. Why didn't you pick it?
I didn't think it was. The first rock and roll song to hit number 1 was Rock Around the Clock by Bill Haley and his Comets. It held the top spot for 8 weeks.
Wow.
All right. So I had
job,
1,
guys.
2, 3. 3 to
Okay.
7.
All
I
right.
did slightly worse. You did slightly better. Eventually, we'll meet in the middle, and maybe you'll win one.
Maybe I'll surpass you.
Give me a high
Good
five.
job. All right. Whatever. Good sport. Here we go.
Well, that does it for our game. Let's take a trip back to 2001.
2001. In 2001, Apple launched iTunes. iTunes is a media player, media library, internet radio broadcaster, and mobile device management application that revolutionized the music industry by offering a digital platform for buying and organizing music, paving the way for the era of digital music consumption.
Good job.
I think
That was great.
I was reading to our kids before we came in here. I think that helped me.
You should-
Like warmed me up. Yeah.
reminded me how to read.
It did.
Gillis pie. Apple based its initial release of iTunes on a program called Sound Jam MP. It was developed by Bill Kincaid, released by Cassidy and Green in 1999. Apple purchased the program from those two in 2000. And at the time, Kincaid, Jeff Robin, and Dave Heller left Cassidy and Green to continue developing the program as Apple employees. So they left their own company
Dang.
to join Apple. At Apple, the developers simplified SoundJam's user interface, added the ability to burn CDs, and removed the program's recording feature and skin support, like where you change the look of it. Mm-hmm. You know, yeah. Mm-hmm. Apple released version 1.0 of the program under the new name iTunes on January 9th, 2001 at Macworld San Francisco. Macintosh users immediately began poking through iTunes resource fork, where they discovered numerous strings and other resources that indicated that iTunes was just a re-engineered SoundJam MP. Cassidy and Green ceased distribution of that program on June 1st of 2001 at the request of the developers. So we have a few special facts here. Would you like to read those, Deidra?
I would love to. The first song ever sold on iTunes was The Wait by the band. Are these real things?
Yes.
Okay.
Was the song by the artist.
Purchased by Steve Jobs himself. Less than 5 years later, in February 2006, iTunes sold its billionth song. Wow. The song was Speed of Sound by Coldplay, and the purchaser received a call from Steve Jobs along with a special prized package. Ooh. Mm-hmm.
Good song, too.
Right. In 2008, iTunes introduced the Genius feature, which could automatically create playlists from a user's library based on a selected song, showcasing Apple's early steps into machine learning and personalized recommendations.
As in like early AI.
Right,
kinda.
right, yeah. We're learning already.
We're learning.
In 2014, U2's album Songs of Innocence was automatically added to the iTunes library of over 500 million users, making it one of the most widely distributed albums ever. But it was not a well-received move.
So we're going to dive a little deeper into that. So this is one of the things that I remember greatly about this time. So Bono actually wrote a memoir and talked about this time. So we have some excerpts from his memoir.
Okay.
And we're just going to read what he said. So he wrote, "Free music?" asked Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, with a look of mild incredulity. "Are you talking about free music?" 10 years had gone by since the Vertigo ads that YouTube did for Apple for iTunes. Like it was back when Apple was doing it was like a color background and then the person was dancing or whatever, but it was just a shadow of them, the silhouette of them. Do you remember those ads?
No.
Okay. Well, they went on for a while and then they did it with U2 and it was like clear it was Bono, but it was still just their outline.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So
gotcha.
They did those for Vertigo. So when it continues on, when we were in the office of Cupertino, California, Guy Osseri, our new manager, me, Eddie Q, and Phil Schiller, and we had just played the team some of the songs from the new Songs of Innocence album. "You want to give this music away for free? But the whole point is that what we're trying to do at Apple is to not give away music free. The point is to make sure musicians get paid." "No," Bono said, "I don't think we give it away for free. I think you pay us for it, and then you give it away for free as a gift to people. Wouldn't that be wonderful?" Tim Cook raised an eyebrow. "You mean we pay you for the album and then just distribute it?" I said, "Yeah, like when Netflix buys the movie and gives it away to subscribers." Tim looked at me as if I were explaining the alphabet to an English professor. "But we're not a subscription organization." "Not yet," I said. "Let ours be the first." Tim was not convinced. "There's something not right about giving away your art for free," he said. "And this is just to people who like you too?" "Well," I replied, "I think we should give it away to everybody. I mean, it's their choice whether they want to listen to it or not." But what was the worst that could happen? It would be like junk mail, wouldn't it? Like taking our bottle of milk and leaving it on the doorstep of every house in the neighborhood? Not quite true. On 9 September 2014, we didn't just put our bottle of milk at the door, but in every fridge, in every house in town. In some cases, we poured it on the good people's cornflakes. And some people like to pour their own milk, and others are lactose intolerant. As one social media wisecracker put it, "Woke up this morning to find Bono in my kitchen, drinking my coffee, wearing my dressing gown, reading my paper." Or, a less kind, "The free YouTube album is overpriced."
Oh, dear. If I wrote that as like a,
and then you saw it in the book.
And then I see that Bono saw it, I would be so... And your name is quoted right after it? Oh, man.
Feel a little bad. So apparently it was a failure. Like, people hated it. People hated not having the choice. The album, who cares if it was good or not at that point? It wasn't their best album, but even U2 fans were like, let me make the choice. Don't force it on me. It felt like the start of something bad. It felt like if they do this once, what's going to stop them from forcing
keep doing it.
to put crap in my iTunes that I don't want? And what was bad is that when they did it, it wouldn't allow you to remove it.
Oh, it
was a permanent thing.
That is weird.
And so when they were getting all this backlash about it, they had to create a special tool that you would utilize to remove it from your library.
Wow.
But apparently Tim Cook took it in stride, saying that they talked them into an experiment and they ran with it, and it may not have worked, but Apple has to experiment because the music business in its present form at the time was not working for everyone. And so, like Bono says, that's why Steve Jobs picked Tim Cook to take on the leadership of Apple, because, he wanted to do something different. He wanted to solve problems. And even if they went wrong, he took the responsibility. Like, he was an upstanding guy in that situation. So I think it's really cool, but it was a mistake. It was a big mistake.
Oh, goodness.
I'm glad everybody seems to be understanding of that.
Right.
At least Bono's like, ungrateful jerks. Nothing like that. He's just like, look, mea culpa. So sorry. Shouldn't have done that. Thought it would be a fun idea. Realized we were intruding into your lives. The success of iTunes is often attributed to its integration with the iPod. Creating a seamless ecosystem. I can't say consonants today. Ecosystem? For digital music consumption that was revolutionary at the time. And do you remember? I looked this up for images to use here, and you're already seeing it on the screen. But there are not you. The people watching the show later.
I don't see anything on the screen.
Huh? Oh. Take a guess how many songs you could put on the first iPod.
Oh.
Which they already know.
100? No. Like way more?
Way more.
Okay, I didn't know.
But now the answer, it's 1,000.
I was going to say 1,000, I thought. Nah, could they do that
but
much?
I mean,
Did they have that much room?
Just with when we bought the 5th generation iPod, the first one that did video.
Yes.
And that could hold like 80,000. Like, it was crazy. A crazy amount of music.
Like, you'd never fill it up.
Right. Like, I think even the iPod Shuffle that we got held more than 1,000. Not sure, but I felt like it did. Anyway, so as the iPod advanced, so did iTunes. They began selling movies and TV show episodes as well, which of course kind of paved the way for the iPhone and then smartphones. I mean, in honesty, iTunes is largely responsible for the smartphone landscape that we have today.
You had a little screen.
Yeah.
And you watched. And they were like, you also have a little phone. And how about we just make them all one thing? Yeah, I could see that.
So we had that first one. This was when I was working at my granddad's radio station. And there was a season where I had very little to do. Very little to do. I was kept on because I was minimum wage work that they needed to fill in jobs occasionally. Eventually, I was doing almost everything at the radio station. About 3 full-time jobs for minimum wage all at once.
Yeah.
One minimum wage.
In responsibility, but not pay. Yeah.
But initially, I had very little to do. And so I took that video iPod every day and had it just sitting on my desk, had this little flip case thing that would stand it upright. The screen is like, it's a 2-inch screen, right. Diagonally across. And I remember I would watch old Power Ranger episodes.
Oh my gosh.
I would watch the show where parents pranked their kids. It was like a prank show, but wholesome.
I feel like that was like a lot of crying or something.
No, it wasn't a lot of crying. It was very good-natured stuff. It was goofy stuff. It was fun. And there was one like serious show that I don't remember. I don't know if it was House or something like that, but it was something along those lines. But like, that's just all I did. It wasn't a whole lot of selection to begin with.
Right.
But it grew. And so you would also kind of say that might have been the start of streaming services as well around that time. As you know, when Netflix was starting to do that same thing.
Right.
Around that time, going into streaming. So I mean,
your fault.
Apple really did. I don't love Apple.
We have to buy all these different services.
Right.
It's your fault.
I don't love Apple as a company or a brand. But I gotta say, they were killing it during this period. In 2019, Apple announced the end of iTunes as a standalone brand, integrating its functionalities into separate apps.
Wow.
For music, for podcasts, and for TV. Apple Music became the primary music service. This ironically makes Apple one of the last companies to join in the music streaming business, despite laying the groundwork for the digital music industry as a whole.
Funny.
Yeah. And so essentially what this meant is you don't buy the music anymore. iTunes allowed you to purchase the music, usually 99 cents a song.
Right.
And they kept that, I think, for a long time. But
now you pay
for the streaming. Which,
right.
Yeah. And same thing with the TV app. They have Apple TV now. And the podcasts are free, of course. But
so am I a weird person that I listen to all my music through YouTube?
Not now. I don't think so. Even YouTube has YouTube music now because people were doing that so much.
Yeah.
And frankly, you could listen to anything for free on YouTube. Almost every album gets put on YouTube for free by the artists.
Anytime anyone's ever been like, have you heard this song? Or you want to sing this song? Yeah. That's usually what it is.
It's harder to make playlists. And
it's harder for it on YouTube and listen to it from YouTube.
And I mean, the commercials can be a pain in the butt. But yeah, you could do it on YouTube.
Well, now we pay for no commercials.
We do now, So anyway. We took a poll. We went to the Love Thy Nerd Facebook community and took a poll about the question is simply, do you remember your first experience with iTunes circa 2001? What were your initial thoughts? We got a couple responses. Our friend Tristan said, I used it as my music player for many years. It was simple and easy to use, but now I use it mainly for backing up my phone. I mean, that's essentially, I think the program is still available to use. Just it's not supported anymore. There's no updates. There's nothing that's no fixes. Eventually it'll just crap out.
Or your phone doesn't work with it anymore.
Right. Yeah.
Probably what's going to
happen. That will happen soon, I'm sure. James said they want me to rent music temporarily and not have the physical assets. I mean, even before streaming, that is kind of what that was. That's why anytime I bought music, I would buy enough to burn onto a CD and then burn it onto a CD. You remember we still have it somewhere.
Oh, gosh.
A case just full of collections of music. Collection. I think I have up to like 40 of them. Each one with like 15 songs on it. All of them random.
So many.
None of them make any sense. But yeah, we
I think
have
they're up like in the
they're here. Yeah, we have them.
closet.
We have them stored. Yeah. But I get that. I get that idea, and I really feel it now with the streaming services. Like, there's no more physical media.
Right.
Like this is that. There was the World Economic Forum or something where some guy said, in the future you'll own nothing and you'll be happy.
Oh.
This is the start of that.
Ooh.
We don't own any of these shows. We don't own any of the music that we're streaming. All of this is rented.
Right.
Just like he says, renting temporarily and not having the physical assets. So and there's pros and cons, but I get that. I like having. It took forever for us to get rid of our DVD collection.
It did.
Because we spent so much time and money building it over 10 years.
Right. Now you're like,
and then we have now we have the streaming services, not all of them, but we have enough of the streaming services that we don't even have a DVD player anymore.
We don't.
And so like, all right, well, let's give these away to people that don't have the streaming services anymore. But it hurt. It hurt a little bit.
Yeah.
Lastly, Lisa said, iTunes, 2001 was the days of Winamp, man. So Winamp was the program that you could download on your PC. And you could save MP3s and stuff to it. You could also just put a CD in and it would play, it would do that. And I think you could rip and stuff. But that was the one that had the different skins. You could change it to different skins.
Ooh, sorry.
And make it look all weird or gross and all kinds of download different ones. Like it was crazy customizable. But
Weird
that's
and gross.
Yeah, there were some gross ones. There were some zombie looking ones and stuff like that. The PC did not actually get iTunes until late 2003. So it was a couple years later before PC got the iTunes program. Typical, not really though. Cause again, one of the reasons I hate Apple is because they are notorious to gatekeep all their stuff and not make it work. The fact that they did it within 2 years,
that's pretty good.
I feel like that's they deserve a pat on the back, and I think it was a good move for them.
Yeah.
The idea that each song was 99 cents was dangerous for me. Mm-hmm. And this started even before.
I wonder how much of our money you spent on iTunes.
So much, way more than you want to know. Maybe not as much as I spent on
back then.
Maybe not as much as I spent on these pops,
yeah,
but way too much for back then. Yeah, for sure. When we were just married and had very little money.
Oh, it's just $1.
So I remember having it on my computer when I lived with my parents before I moved out, before we got married, and you would download it, and it would take like 30 minutes for one track to download.
Wow.
It was so long. And so then I remember we moved into the married dorms at our college, which had like a high-speed network. And it was like 2 minutes. And I was blown away. I remember that was the thing I loved the most about that day. I'm like, did you see how fast this new Toby Mac song just downloaded? Oh my gosh. We're going to listen to so much music. But it was so dangerous being 99 cents because you're like, yeah, okay, just a couple bucks here, a couple bucks there.
There we go.
My mother currently
Oh my gosh.
is feeling the same pain with the Temu app, which those of you who don't know, it's cheap knockoff crap from China that is very, very cheap.
Oh my
and my mom's like, wow, shirts for the grandkids, they're only like $2 a piece. That's great. Suddenly we have 50 new pieces of clothing in our house, and my mother has run out of all of her money for the month. That is the kind of dangerous stuff that if you don't pay attention, immediately all your money's gone.
Yeah.
And I really recall many times being like, okay, I have spent $50 when that was a whole lot of money to us.
Money back then.
Yeah, I did that many times. Luckily, I don't think you ever yelled at me about it. So
I probably had no idea.
I cooked the books. Well, that's going to wrap up this week's look at Apple iTunes.
Do you use iTunes? I said that.
Or did.
Ooh, did you? Not anymore. Do you? Did? Dang it, I said it. Did you use iTunes? Do you miss it now that it's gone? Did you realize it was such a big piece of today's tech? Did you like that free YouTube album? YouTube album. We want to know. Tell us on the social. I hate this.
You said it in the exact same spot last week.
Tell us on the socials at Nerd History. At Nerd History LTN.
I don't know why this is so funny. Oh, man. Also, side note, it is incredibly hard for anybody to say the band name U2 ever since YouTube came out.
YouTube, like your mouth just automatically wants to go boop.
Yeah, automatically. Subscribe to the Nerd History Podcast via the Love Thy Nerd YouTube channel or on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc. And find us on lovethynerd.com/nerdhistorypod.
Oh my gosh. And we also have our daily Today in Nerd History short, an article that comes out every day at lovethynerd.com/nerdhistory with photos and nerdy facts. Oh, no.
Did you hear that?
I totally did.
We've just received a message from the nerd future. Oh, let's read this message. On September 29th, 2030, Elon Musk's Neuralink is implanted in its 100 millionth user.
Whoa.
To celebrate, they are rolling out a new feature where you can set selected music tracks to play in reaction to brain chemical levels. If your serotonin levels dip due to sadness, it will play your favorite upbeat songs directly inside your brain to cheer you up. If your heart rate is too elevated, it'll play calming lo-fi beats to soothe you. It can even play music to wake you up in the morning. To hit snooze, all you have to do is bang your head on your bedside table. What a world we're going to live in, dude. Ooh. I can't wait for you to do that 7 times every morning.
Smack.
Bam! Stupid. Why don't I just set the alarm one time when I want to get up? Maybe that'll change your habits.
Nope.
We'll be back next week as we travel back in time to another event to celebrate in nerd history. Once again, I'm Radio Matt.
And I'm Deidra.
And remember, in the past, present, and future,
Jesus loves you, nerds.